What's up, guys? Today I've got just a simple ammo discussion and a buckshot recommendation for you. It's this stuff right here. This is Fiocchi Defense Dynamics, what is advertised as 9-pellet double-aught buck. We'll talk more about that in a second. This is a great load. Now, previously, if you've watched my videos, you've heard me say the best out there is Federal Flight Control 8-pellet double-aught buck. That is really good stuff. It's a reduced recoil load, so very soft on the shoulder, and it patterns really well. Problem is you can't find it, and when you can find it, it is now more than $1.50 a shot. I have seen people pay $2 per trigger press for that load. So that kind of takes that off the table for me. As much as I shoot, yeah. Shopping around though, the best that I've found is this stuff. And in many ways, I believe this to be better than the Federal Flight Control 8-pellet double-aught buck I mentioned. This has less recoil than the Federal Flight Control does, that the reduced recoil loads. This has less recoil than any 2 3/4 inch buckshot that I have found. That's a big deal for many of you. My one caution with that is if you are running a recoil operated semi-auto shotgun, this stuff is so light, it may hiccup. But for pumps and your standard gas operated stuff, this has worked flawlessly. Great load. This is supposed to be 9 pellets of double-aught buck going at 1250 feet per second. And if you're thinking about the flight control load that is also soft shooting, you may be having trouble reconciling when I say that this shoots softer. Well, that would make sense, right? The flight control load is 8 pellets of double-aught buck going at 1150 feet per second. So it is less mass being accelerated to a lower velocity than this. Physics says that this cannot have less recoil than that flight control load. And I'm not going to argue with physics. There's 2 ways to reduce recoil, guys. In all of the shotgun loads, you can reduce the velocity or you can reduce the mass accelerated. So, how are they doing this? Well, in the beginning of the video, I said this is advertised as double-aught buck. Double-aught buck is a 33 caliber projectile weighing in at 55 to 60 grains. So this should be 33 caliber, but it's not. Depending on the piece of shot that I measure, it is 29 or 30 caliber. And when I have thrown these on a scale, I'm not getting 55 to 60 grains. Instead, I'm getting 40 grains. Guys, if you do the math on that, you will find that the mass being accelerated with 9 of these pellets is still less mass than the 8 pellets of double-aught buck in the flight control load. This is a Mossberg Shockwave with Fiocchi's 9-pellet Defense Dynamics load, advertised as double-aught buck, but we know that's actually 9 pellets of number 1 buck. Got a recycled gel block with no shots in it since recycling, and a backer of 2 sheets of cardboard and a 1/2 inch plywood that is very weathered. Let's see if we stop these pellets shooting from 5 yards. All right, guys, so after looking around the block a little bit, we can see that all 9 pellets made it to the end of our 16-inch block here. 1 pellet is stopped inside the block right there. We had 4 pellets that were recovered. They were stuck in this cardboard, which was flipped up against the backer. All 8 of those pellets had enough energy to, well, I should say all 9 of those pellets had enough energy to dent that 1/2 inch plywood on the back. But looking at the plywood, none of them actually made it through that 1/2 inch plywood. To wrap this up, guys, here's how this patterns. It patterns well. This is an excellent load. So from 5 to 20 yards, this patterned better than any buckshot load that is not a flight control load. This is kind of the total package, guys. It's decent patterns. It is ample penetration with the least over penetration risk of any of the number 1 or double-aught buck loads in existence. And this stuff is the lightest on the shoulder. The final component that makes this stuff really my choice now is that it's available and it doesn't break the bank. So, ammo manufacturers, if you're listening, please give us more 9 pellet number 1 buck loads in 12 gauge in a regular 2 3/4 inch shell at around 1100 or 1200 feet per second, because that's all you need to get all the way through a bad guy the long way. And we don't need all the extra recoil. If you guys really want to go above and beyond, Federal, give us a 9 pellet or an 8 pellet number 1 buck load at 1100 feet per second and throw it in a flight control wad. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep training, stay safe.